All right, welcome to lesson 9, 8th grade. So we are doing more stuff with equations, but we're going to start to do some a little bit of word problems with equations again. So it says let's use equations to think about situations. That's just a different way of saying doing word problems. All right. So for your warm-up, they give you a little babysitting scenario. So they say if you're babysitting, would you rather charge $5 for the first hour and $8 for each additional hour, or charge $15 for the first hour and $6 for each additional hour, and explain your reasoning? So I'm just going to kind of set up I would set up an equation. You can pause it and try to set one up yourself and then check and see if you did it right to look at what I would write. Or you can maybe draw a picture, kind of do this in a different way, but I'm going to set it up and then let you guys decide what you think would make you more money depending on the situation. So for the first one, it's $5 for the first hour and then $8 for each additional. So $8 for each additional, if I'm writing, I don't like how I drew that. If I'm writing this in equation language, right, that's going to be 8x because each additional hour, that's x. And then I'm adding 5 to it because I started with 5. And if you kind of look at it, it starts to look really similar to y equals mx plus b, right? Because you've kind of got the slope type of a thing with the 8x and then the y-intercept with the 5. Anyways, that's kind of where this is coming from. So you have that, and then this one you're going to do similar thing, except it's $6 for each additional hour and 15 for the first. So we're going to go 15 plus 6 times x. So we'll pick a couple of numbers. We'll pick a small number and then we'll pick a really big number. So if I pick a small number, let's say x equals 1, and then we'll do it for I don't know, x equals 7. Okay? So for x equals 1, that would just be 5 plus 8 times 1. So that would end up being 5 plus 8, which would be 13, right? And then for this one, it'd be 15 plus 6 times 1, which would just be 15 plus 6, which would be 21? 21. So at this point in time, with only working 1 extra hour, you're making more money with the second option, right? But if I pick a bigger number okay, x equals 7, then, and I'll do this in different color, so I've got 5 plus 8 times 7, and then down here I've got 15 plus 6 times 7. So I believe that's 42 plus 15, should be 52, plus another 57. And then for this one, 8 times 7, what is 8 times 7, you guys? I think it's 72? No, 56. Yeah, 56, okay. See, even my multiplication is not very good anymore. Okay, so 56 plus 5, 61. And if I'm messing up on my math, it's because it's late and I'm tired and I'm sorry, and you can probably catch it and figure it out. But it looks like at this point it's reversed, right? So it's gone from, initially it was like that's 13, that's 21. Oh, the second one's a better deal. But now it's flip-flopped to where that's 61 and that's 57. So it's a better deal for the first one. So I want you to come up with a reason as to why for that part. Okay. Word problem. Water tanks. They give you a big chart with a bunch of numbers about how much water is in 2 different water tanks at certain amounts of time. So the amount of water in 2 tanks every 5 minutes is shown in the table. Describe what is happening in each tank. Either draw a picture, say it verbally, or write in a few sentences. So you guys are going to obviously draw a picture or write something. So I'm going to highlight some things. So the time is in yellow, that's in minutes. And then what's highlighted in blue is the amount of water in each tank. So if I were to go and draw a little picture, I could say, here's tank 1 and here's tank 2. And this is starting, and then Let's say this is tank 1, this is tank 2. Why did I draw that one so small? Okay. And that is, let's say this is 0 minutes and this is 5. So it starts at 25 in tank 1. So let's say that's 25. And then it goes to 175. So let's say that's 175. In tank 2, it starts at 1,000. So let's say that's 1,000. And it drops to 900. So what happens in each tank? Well, one of them is increasing, right? So tank 1, so number 1 is increasing. And tank, I should probably write number 1. And number 2 is decreasing in the amount of water. That's pretty much all you need to say. All right, second question. Use the table to estimate when the tanks will have the same amount of water. So for this, you're going to go and you're going to scan, and you're going to look and look and look to see where you see numbers be similar on both sides. So like when you first start, it's 25 and 1,000, totally not similar. I skip down, 325, 800, not really. And then at 20 minutes, I see this 600 and 600, 1 625, 1 600, and then up above, one at 700, one is 475. So that means that somewhere between 15 or, is it 15 and 20? Yeah, so somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes where it's green is when the tanks have the same amount of water. So kind of use that to help explain number 2. And if you get stuck, remember, just send me an email or remind, and I'll give you the join code and I can help you out at the end of the day. All right, the last one says the amount of water in tank 1 after t minutes is 30t plus 25, and the amount of water in liters in tank 2 after t minutes is negative 20t plus 1,000. Find the time and the amount of water will be equal. So whenever something is saying will be equal and they're giving you 2 equations, you're going to set them equal to each other. So you would end up going 30t plus 25 equals negative, I'm not going to be able to fit that. I'm going to rewrite it so you guys can actually read. Okay, so 30t plus 25 equals negative 20t plus 1,000. Okay, so you're going to solve for t. Solve for t. Solve for t. You can do it. If you get stuck, ask me a question later, but I want you to try that on your own. All right, last one, elevators. This one's a little bit trickier, but still not too bad. So it gives you a picture, and before I even read the question, I just want to look at the picture and kind of get an idea for what's going on. So this is ground level. So this is showing the elevator going from above ground to below ground on the left. So this one, and then on the right, it's going from below ground to above ground. So opposite directions. A building has 2 elevators that both go above and below ground. At a certain time of day, the travel time it takes elevator A to reach height h in meters is 0.8 h plus 16 seconds. And then the travel time it takes elevator B to reach height h in meters is negative 0.8 h plus 12 seconds. And then for the first question, it wants to know, what is the height of each elevator at this time? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use their equations to find height. So height is that h in there, right? This. I'm going to pick a different color. What I've highlighted in pink, which apparently is the 8 and the h, but you get the idea? That's what we're trying to solve for, and the time that they're expecting you to set it to, because it's saying initially you're going to set it equal to 0. So this whole thing equals time. They didn't write it, but it equals time. I don't know why they're trying to confuse you. Anyways, so if t is 0 and you're trying to solve for h, you are going to go 0, 0 equals 0.8 h plus 16. And then over here you've got 0 equals negative 0.8 h plus 12. So I'm going to go through and solve. So I do minus the 12, minus 12, right, like that. And then I'm going to write it up here because we ran out of space. So negative 12 equals negative 0.8h. And you need a calculator for that, I think. I can't do that in my head. So if I do 12 divided by 0.8, I get 15. So if I go like this, right, divide by 0.8, divide by 0.8, I get h equals 15. That's just for one of them, though. So for the other one, you still got to go minus 16, cancel that out. And then you've got negative 16 equals 0.8h. And then divide by 0.8, divide by 0.8, and you get 16 divided by 0.8, which is 20. So h equals, negative 20. So the reason why the one is negative and the one is going to be positive is because one of them is going below ground and then the other one of them is going above ground. Does that kind of make sense? So it's not literally negative, it's just meaning below ground. So you've got one going 20 meters below ground, and you got the other one going 15 meters above ground, and that's all you have to do for that. In the second question, it wants to know how long would it take each elevator to reach ground level at this time. So now they're telling you to solve for t, because it wants to know how long it would take each elevator to reach the ground level at the time that they are giving you. So you're going to set your height equal to, what just happened? Okay, here we go. So you're going to set your height equal to 0. So you're going to write like 0.8 times 0 plus 12. And then the other one was, what was the other one? 0.8 times 0 plus 16. Oh, that should be negative. 0.8 times 0 plus 16. Okay, so automatically if this is equaling to 0, that's going to go away, right? Because anything times 0 is 0. So both of them, you're just left with 12 on this one and 16 on this one. So how long would it take? It would take 12 seconds for the one, and then it would take 16 seconds for the other. If that makes sense. And if you were to set it equal to 0, you could move the 12 over there. It would still be 12, right? Because you're not going to have negative time. It's just the negative staying there because it's going below ground versus above ground. For number 3, if the two elevators travel toward one another, at what height do they pass each other? So whenever you have a question where it's like anything's traveling at the other thing or the two things are suddenly equal, you're just going to set both equations equal to each other and then you're going to solve for the variable. So in this case, it's h, right, for height. Let me change color again. So height. Okay, so you're literally going to go and do like negative 0.8 h plus 12 equals 0.8 h plus 16. And then you're going to solve for h. So just like you would normally do any equation, get the h on one side, get the numbers on the other. And what do you get for h? And I'm going to let you guys do that on your own. And then the very last one, I want you to try on your own too. And if you get stuck, remember, just send me a question on Remind, and I can either help you on Remind or you can be a part of our help session at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, depending on your group. All right, I hope that helped. If you are stuck, please ask for help. Do not feel confused.